Hello, class. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do trees. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to add trees. And I think in this case, ideally, I usually do these things and I even take the photographs in spring or summer when there's leaves on the trees. We probably won't find unleafed trees to add, but that's okay because adding leaf trees will be better and it's not too hard. I'm just going to follow you through the steps. So what you're going to do is we're not going to draw the trees right in Photoshop. Certainly there are going to be certain things we draw, but a lot of this assignment, both for the trees and other things, will be adding things we find online. So the first thing to do is to go to your web browser or a new tab, whatever the case might be. Go to google.com, and if you're not aware, there's an image search. So if you click here, anything I type here will only search images for me, and that's great. We're going to use that a lot in this assignment. So I'm just going to type in tree, okay? Now, there's different requirements for different things. Trees are very complex objects. And so what's really going to be key is, well, I could save this tree. It'd be very hard to pull the tree out of the sky and the grass. And if I don't do that, I just can't use it in my image. So I really need either a white or a transparent background. A white background would be a little bit easier to delete than a transparent one, but the easiest is just go to transparent. I'll show you what that means as we go through this. So if I scroll back up to the top, I can hit the suggestion Google gives me, which is transparent. Now the thing with the transparent in Google is it can be tricky, and we're going to have to learn a few things about transparency here. If I look at this image, we can see it's got it's white around the tree. This one has a checkerboard pattern around it. The standard symbol in Photoshop, in Pixlr, and to a certain degree Google, is that the checkerboard pattern means there's no pixels there. It's transparent, so we really only have a tree. The thing is if you see in this preview view, if you see the transparent symbol of the checkerboard pattern, it's not really transparent. Those pixels are really there that way. And that's because someone wants you to buy this tree. So they don't really give it to you transparent. They're just saying, hey, we can give it to you that way if you want to buy that. We don't want that. So what we want to do is we only want to pick one with a white background. And if you pick one with a white background and it has a checkerboard pattern over here, that means it's transparent. We'll see what that means in a minute. Now, I don't like this tree. It's too cartoony for me. So I'm going to go down here, and I think I'm going to go to this one here. And yes, it's got the white background on this side with a checkerboard pattern on that side. That means it's really transparent. It looks like a pretty good tree. You'll see it's called tree PNG. That's because PNG is a file type that allows for transparencies. In fact, if you want to do a different search, you could certainly, search PNG tree, and that might help as well. So I'm going to right click over it and go save image as, save it to wherever you want to on your computer. Save it here. Once that's done, you're going to go back to your photo editor. We're going to add this in. And to add an image, one way of doing it is to create a new layer. So I'm going to go to my layers box, hit the plus sign, in this case go to image, and go to wherever you need to do it on your computer. Mine's already set up to take me to where I saved it. So select the tree and say open. It's going to place it in, and you can move it around. I'm on the white arrow tool here. I'm gonna move it around, and it's pretty small as I go here. But I'm gonna start on the left-hand side here. I'm gonna place it sort of at the base of the tree that I see here in the background. You can see it's too small, but if I go hover over these blue dots and pull, it's gonna make it bigger, right? And so I'm gonna make it about the same size as those background trees, maybe a little bigger. And one of the great things about this tree is it's covering up the tree without leaves, right? So we can see a little bit sticking out over here. I don't think that'll matter much. If I want to make it a little bigger, I can go ahead and do that. And so there we go. I've added a new tree with leaves. On this side, we can see it's on the layer on top of the background layer, which makes this work. Just really quick, if I unlock the background layer, I can drag and pull these around. Let's see if I can get this. The background layer, actually I can't. I'll show you that here in a step or two, how to manipulate layers like that, because background needs to stay background. Or I should say background needs to stay as the bottom layer. I don't have control over that just yet. So we got that there. If I want to make this a little wider, I can go to free transform over here, and that's going to allow me to pull the tree a little wider to fix up some of those branches, which is okay for a tree. Most things you don't want to do that. You want to stay on fixed to keep proportional. In fact, if you want the simplest rule, never take it off fixed. That's going to be the safest thing for you. But if you're careful, you sometimes can play with free. It has to do with proportion and scale, and I'm not trying to go over all those concepts in this, so I probably shouldn't have even mentioned that. But we need more than one tree in this, so I could either go and find another tree, or I can come over to my layer over here, right click, and this button here is duplicate layer, and it just added it on top of it. You can't see it. We can see it's added it in the layer box, but if I stay on my white arrow here and move it over, I've got a second tree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the background back here, and we can see here it is, but here now it looks too big, right? Because this is a perspective, and so perspectives, things get smaller as you go deeper into the image, and so I need to scale it to fit. So since it's a different layer, I can go ahead and just scale it to make it smaller, paint over that tree in the background without leaves, and now I have a bunch of leaves to go in here. In my trees, it's almost even hard to tell that there are no leaves in the trees. Now, the assignment requires 2 trees. I'm going to add a couple more just because I think this treescape could certainly use it. So I'm going to right click over top of here, duplicate the layer again, put one right up front here. Now, because this is up front and close to us, we certainly need to make it pretty big. Even if it sticks out the top like that, that's perfectly fine for trees. Trees are not, perfect at all. And don't be afraid of making your trees pretty large. Oftentimes students make them too small. The ones in the background here are pretty small. They're probably on the small side for street trees, right? So really they could be this size or larger. If you're making them like people height, then they're too small, right? People need to be able to walk under the branches. So that's one basic way of thinking about it. Now, you'll notice that some of my trees need to be cleaned up, like this sign should be in front of this tree. We're going to get to that in a second. But I'm going to add, I think, one more tree here. I'm going to go to this layer, duplicate it. I'm just going to add one back here in the background here and sort of behind it. Because I want to show you a couple things about layer order. So I'm going to add this here. If we look closely, I'm going to zoom into these trees back here. I might delete this layer in the end, but it's a good lesson for you guys. If you see this tree here, it's supposed to be behind this tree. One way of solving that is just to click and drag the layer down, and you can see now this tree is behind that tree, right? So I can continue to move it over. Now it's in front. Now it should be behind this tree as well, so I should really put it all the way down. The trees that are further back in the image should be further back in the layer order. The one exception to that is the background image, and that sort of needs to stay. And so what we have is we have our trees. I've got 4 of them coming over top of everything that's in this foreground image. Now, I think that there's different ways of solving this problem. For this assignment, I'm going to have us delete pieces of the tree. You could actually copy parts out of the background images and bring them forward. There's hundreds of solutions to this. There's no one right answer, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to go to this layer. I'll go to this layer, which is my bottommost tree, and I want to delete it from around this tree post. So to select just a piece of a layer, I'm going to have to go to my selection tool, which is here, and you can click and pull this around. And once I have this trail, zoom in again, Alt, push up on my scroll. Once I have this trail, it's only going to delete the objects I have on the layers selected. So that's just this tree layer. When I hit delete on the keyboard, it's going to delete just the trees. Okay. See, just the trees. I don't know. I think I hit a layer there. I was trying to do multiple because I know there was those trees here. Now, I purposely also did a mistake. Okay, so I deleted too much of the tree and I used the wrong lasso tool. So I wanted to see part of that tree out here. Okay, what do you do if there's a mistake? No problem. There's several ways of solving this. One is Control Z to undo. Okay, another thing I can do is I can go up here in the list. So I can go, there it's gone, and there it is back again. Excuse me about that. And if I don't like my lasso tool, I'm going to do Control D to deselect, right? So those are just, I purposely made that mistake just to show you those few edit as how to change this. The reality is usually when I'm selecting things, I'm going to use the Polygon Lasso tool because that's how I like to work it, make straight lines. Now watch this. I'm going to hit on one side of this telephone pole. I'm going to hit on the bottom of it. I can go bigger than the trees. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to go across the telephone pole and up and double click to close it off and get that train. And now I'm going to make sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard and it deletes that back tree perfectly around here. And I'm going to do it on the next tree layer up to delete it there. And now this telephone pole's in the foreground. Again, Control D to deselect. When I zoom out, it looks like those trees are behind that telephone pole. Now I've got the same issue up in front here, where this tree back here should be behind this sign. That's this layer up here. I got to jump all the way up to this top layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click. I can't see the sign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually right click around here. I'm going to temporarily turn the transparency of that tree down so I can see the sign behind it. I'm going to use the same Polygon Lasso tool. I'm just going to zoom in, which is Alt in the scroll wheel. And I'm going to pan up and I'm just going to trace around the sign. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one's going to know. Just a bunch of straight line clicks is what the Polygon Lasso tool allows you to do. And I'll zoom around. Click, click, click. It's going to take a couple minutes. It's not too bad. Click down the post. If I pull back on my scroll wheel, actually, you have to press Alt to do this in Photoshop. It appears in Pixlr. You can just use your scroll wheel on your mouse. So come up, double click to end the selection set and hit delete. I have a little piece up there. I just realized if I zoom in, you can see it. Scroll over where it is, right there. So I'm going to Control D to deselect, and I'm just going to use, if I use the marquee, the square, it's going to be fine here, just to do a quick selection set, delete. Oops, I deleted the whole thing there. Let's undo that. There we go. Just went to my history. Could have went to Control Z. I'll go to my lasso tool. Polygon Lasso tool. Make sure you get that set. Let's see. All the way around there and hit delete. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. That always happens. There we go. Right layer. Click delete. There we go. Zoom out. And then we've got that tree. Now once I have that set, what I have to do is I have to right click and turn the transparency back up so I can see it. I think I see what I did here. I made my screen bigger, but that's okay. We'll get that set for the next time here. I have my trees, and that's just part of the assignment. Tricky, but the basic tools of all you're going to be doing for this, we'll keep going step by step for each piece. So good luck. Have fun. Do what you think is best, and I'll see you in the next video.